Imagine a society with no punishment, no justice system, no rules, just people, free to act as they wish. At first it might sound like freedom, but very quickly that freedom collapses into fear. Because without boundaries, there's chaos. Without consequences, there's cruelty. And without forgiveness, there's no healing. This is where one of humanity's deepest paradoxes lies. We punish to create order, yet we forgive to preserve our humanity. The two forces, punishment and forgiveness, sit on opposite ends of morality, constantly pulling against each other. But strangely, we need both to survive. Why? Because human morality isn't just about justice, it's about balance. From our earliest tribes to modern courtrooms, punishment has been one of society's oldest tools. It sends a message. Some actions will not be tolerated. Anthropologists believe punishment evolved as a way to maintain cooperation within groups. When someone broke trust, stole food, lied, or harmed others, punishment restored balance and deterred future betrayal. Without it, social bonds would decay. But punishment is more than a social mechanism. It's deeply psychological. When we're wronged, the brain activates the amygdala and anterior insula, regions tied to anger and disgust. Justice feels good because it reasserts control in a moment of chaos. Studies even show that people feel pleasure when seeing fairness restored, even if it comes through punishment. There's a biological satisfaction in seeing moral order upheld. Yet, something strange happens after punishment. The same people who demanded justice often experience an emptiness once it's delivered. Because punishment alone doesn't erase pain, it only evens the score. And that's where forgiveness enters the story. Forgiveness isn't a denial of justice, it's a transcendence of it. It's what allows us to move forward instead of staying chained to resentment. Psychologically, forgiveness rewires the brain from threat to empathy. The prefrontal cortex, the rational, reflective part of our brain, suppresses the revenge instinct and activates compassion instead. In that shift, we reclaim our peace, not because the wrong disappears, but because we choose to stop carrying it. But here's where the paradox deepens. Too much punishment hardens society. Too much forgiveness weakens it. If we punish without mercy, we create fear. If we forgive without accountability, we invite chaos. Every civilization, every family, every individual wrestles with this tension. Justice versus grace, retribution versus redemption. Think of it like this. Punishment protects order. Forgiveness restores humanity. One maintains structure, the other heals the spirit. Take the story of restorative justice programs used in some countries. Instead of focusing only on punishing offenders, these programs bring victims and perpetrators face to face. They talk, confront, cry, and sometimes, astonishingly, forgive. Studies show these encounters often lead to lower reoffense rates than traditional punishment, because punishment might change behavior out of fear, but forgiveness can change it through understanding. Yet forgiveness isn't easy. Our moral instincts resist it. When someone wrongs us, our ego cries for fairness. They must suffer like I did. And sometimes, that's justified. Some acts are too severe, too cruel to simply forgive. But even then, the question remains. What do we become when we let vengeance consume us? Friedrich Nietzsche warned of this danger. Whoever fights monsters, he wrote, should see to it that he does not become a monster. When punishment turns to cruelty, when justice becomes revenge, morality collapses into the very thing it sought to destroy. History is full of such cycles. Revolutions that become tyrannies, justice that breeds new injustice. Religious and philosophical traditions have long wrestled with this paradox. In Christianity, forgiveness is divine, turn the other cheek. In Islam, forgiveness is honored, but justice is essential. Mercy should not erase responsibility. In Buddhism, forgiveness is liberation from attachment to anger. And in Stoicism, punishment should be rational, not emotional, administered for correction, not revenge. Across all these philosophies, one truth echoes. Forgiveness without justice is naive, but justice without forgiveness is inhumane. Now, think about the way punishment operates in everyday life. Not in courts or prisons, but in our relationships. When a friend betrays trust, when a partner lies, when a coworker undermines us, our instinct is to withdraw, to punish through silence or resentment. But how often does that punishment truly bring peace? Usually it breeds distance, misunderstanding, pride. Forgiveness, on the other hand, doesn't erase the boundary. It softens it enough for growth to happen. Psychologists describe this as the reconciliation paradox. True forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook, it's about freeing yourself from the emotional prison their actions built. It's a form of inner justice, reclaiming power over what wounded you. But society complicates this dynamic. In a world obsessed with accountability, public punishment has become a spectacle, what some call cancel culture. Every moral failure, every mistake, becomes a trial by public opinion. The digital mob acts as both judge and executioner. And while this satisfies the craving for justice, it rarely leaves room for redemption. We've created a culture that demands perfection, yet forgets that moral growth often comes from failure. Forgiveness, in this sense, is becoming radical again. It's no longer weakness, it's rebellion against endless outrage. Yet, we shouldn't romanticize forgiveness either. Some wounds cut too deep, and forcing forgiveness too early can become its own kind of violence. Real forgiveness doesn't deny accountability. It transforms it. It asks, how can this pain be turned into wisdom, not just punishment? Philosophers like Immanuel Kant believed justice was necessary because morality required order. But modern moral psychologists like Carol Gilligan argued that care and empathy are just as essential to ethics as rational fairness. Both are right, but incomplete without the other. The mature moral mind must hold both truths, that wrongdoing must face consequence, and that the human behind the wrongdoing can still be more than their worst act. Let's go deeper. The roots of punishment lie in control, the need to restore balance to a moral world that feels broken. But forgiveness springs from something higher: transcendence, the ability to rise above ego and see the broader human struggle. One is grounded in survival, the other in evolution. Punishment is the language of justice. Forgiveness is the language of wisdom. And humanity survives by speaking both. You see this duality even in yourself. When you're wronged, there's a war between two voices. One says, they must pay. The other whispers, let go. Both voices are moral in their own way. The challenge is discerning which voice serves growth and which feeds destruction. Because sometimes forgiveness is the ultimate punishment. It denies the wrongdoer the power to define you. And sometimes punishment is the ultimate mercy. It gives someone the chance to face themselves and change. Every justice system, every personal conflict, every act of vengeance or mercy is humanity's attempt to answer one timeless question: how do we correct wrong without losing compassion? Perhaps that's the true test of civilization. Not whether we can punish, but whether we can forgive after justice has been served. Because forgiveness, when genuine, doesn't erase memory. It transforms it from a wound into wisdom. So the paradox remains. To build a moral world, we must sometimes punish. But to build a humane one, we must learn to forgive. Justice without compassion is tyranny. Compassion without justice is chaos. And only when both walk hand in hand does morality truly mean something. If this reflection stirred something in you, if you've ever struggled between holding someone accountable and letting them go, then share this video, subscribe, and tell me. What do you think defines true justice? Punishment, forgiveness, or the courage to hold both in your heart? Because in the end, morality isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about remembering that even as we judge, we are all still learning how to be human.